Okay, so this is episode 3.
Episode 3, Long, Long Time. This is the Frank and Bill episode. So the synopsis says when an unknown person approaches his compound, survivalist Bill, it's played by Nick Offerman, forges an unlikely connection. Later, Joel and Ellie seek Bill's guidance. So this,
Why do they need to go to Bill again?
because Tess said go to them because they'll know where to go. Although that's weird because they don't know really anyone but them.
Yeah, 100%. They said that she did say that, huh? She was
Yeah.
like, he'd know other not fireflies, but like other people, and they
Yeah.
wouldn't. So maybe Frank would, because he's such a people
It's
person.
on the radio all the time. So we start 10 miles west of Boston. We have Joel and Ellie, and they're dealing with the loss of Tess. And Ellie's just like, hey, you chose this. Don't blame me for something that isn't my
No
fault.
one forced you to do this.
Mm-hmm.
Except for Tess, I guess. But
And then she asks, are Bill and Frank nice? And Joel says, Frank is. Then they end up at Cumberland Farms. It's a gas station because Joel has a stash. And Ellie's like, was there anything for me? And he's like, no, it's pretty clean. And so she goes on the hunt and finds product placement.
A tampon?
Tampax Pearl.
Which is, she's like, score!
Yeah,
like,
apocalypse tampons.
I guess.
And then she does something really upsetting where she sees
she goes down into like a cellar area.
Which is giant and well lit. So
like she drops far enough that she has to put a trash
like
can up to go up again. But I'm like, once I would have seen that drop was long, I'd be like, not going in there. But there's a guy that's collapsed, like a bunch of stuff collapsed on him, and he's now a clicker.
Yeah, he can't move.
Yeah. He's just clicking at her.
And so she like cuts his forehead.
She looks grumpy, and she goes and she like experiments a little bit.
Turning to the dark side. And then she stabs him in the eye.
Is it the eye?
I don't know. They weren't really.
It was either the eye or like the spot that she cut open. Maybe.
But which again is we're gonna some continuity because Tess hit the guy with an axe in the head.
So I'm gonna make an excuse as much as I hate this.
Okay.
Because I think the way that Tess threw the thing and how it was sticking out of its head, it wasn't hit the little like mushrooms coming out of it, and not the brain. I still think zombie rules might apply here.
I feel like it was in the side of the head, though.
I thought it was in the little mushroom thing.
No, I thought it was like full. It was a full axe in the head.
No, it was like out.
Yeah.
And like barely hanging on. She really beefed that throw.
But in the game, you kill it with a shiv, so I don't know anymore.
I don't know.
I don't know anymore. And then, we also see that there's a video game there, and it's Mortal Kombat.
Mortal Kombat 2, which I'm assuming they did because HBO Max had that Mortal Kombat movie come out somewhat like a couple years ago, I think.
And then Ellie keeps asking for a gun, and
no.
Joel's like, no, nope. They're walking, and she's like, so how did everything happen?
Yeah, she's asking a bunch of questions.
They saw like a broken plane, and she's like, oh, you were lucky to be up there. And he's like, well, they were up there too, all the people that died on that plane.
Also, planes suck. Yeah. You don't want to be up in a plane.
And so we get the backstory of how things probably happened. It all happened in a couple of days.
Said one day.
She's like, I bet you it was monkeys. And he's like, no, the cordyceps mutated. It got in the food supply, probably in that pancake mix that his daughter wanted him to buy, and he forgot.
Oh.
And
like sugar and flour and stuff.
And that's all sold around the world. And so
everyone ate pancakes on Friday, and they all became infected later.
And then Saturday, they started biting people.
You know what? Pancakes are more likely than monkeys. Yeah. So.
And then he's like, don't go ahead because there's something upsetting. And she's like, well, now I have to go ahead. And it's a mass grave of burnt people. And he lets us know that if the quarantine zones were full, they just killed people.
And then they trucked them, and then they would just burn them.
And then we get the boop. Let's go flashback to...
I thought they were going to show us them killing them, because I was like, oh, we don't have to see that.
Yeah, it was a baby.
He explained
so I really don't need to see
really well. You don't have to show me. But then it was actually more about Bill and how he escaped getting captured by the military because he has a bunker.
Yeah.
A very sick ass bunker.
CCTV all over town and all that stuff. So you see from it's back in time thing, because you see the fabric in the Matt's grave and you see the people wearing that same fabric, and it was a mother and a baby, and they're getting taken away. They're being evacuated.
It's not edgy enough for you.
Yeah, and so Bill is that his mom's house? Is that
I think
what we're
that's his
supposed
mom's
to?
house. Yeah, that's what he said.
Yeah, he's got a sick wine rack and
Or his mom does.
a cool like bunker. He's got
Yeah.
crap ton of guns, and he's like, not today, government Nazis. And he's got a mask on, and he's got his weapon, and he bursts out the door, and he's got to set everything up. He's got to go to the hardware store, and
Yeah, he's ready to rock.
the
He's ready
lights
to
go off, so then he's got to go
He's got a plan.
to the
Started chopping down trees, building fences, started with traps, started to check inventory on plants and food and animals around the town. It took him not that long to set up that fence.
No, and he's in like the city utilities, so he's got electricity. And we have a couple of time jumps that will happen throughout. We see then 4 years later, after he's done all this stuff, it's like September 30th, and so we get the date of the time. But then 4 years later, he's just chilling and he hears a noise, and there's a person in his booby trap.
Is this the clicker one, or is this the Frank one?
This is the Frank one.
Oh, okay.
So he kills the clicker because he steps through the line and gets shot in the head. So we know that he has traps all around.
Mm-hmm.
Why he just has random holes and not flamethrowers or shotguns is interesting, but I guess you have to introduce Frank somehow.
I guess.
So Frank is trying to get to Boston because Baltimore QZ zone is no longer there. They started with a group of 10 and now it's just him. They have an argument about Arby's.
Yeah, Frank says Arby's is a restaurant, which I guess is true.
Because you can sit down and eat, but it's fast food.
Because Bill's afraid that if he feeds Frank, then he's gonna go tell all of the other hobos that he fed him. So they're gonna come wishing for Arby's.
And Arby's, he's like, well, Arby's is actually a restaurant. They don't give free food out.
Yeah, whatever, Frank.
Yeah.
Pedantic much.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, he lets him come in.
He makes him this nice rabbit dinner and lets him have a shower.
Gives him new clothes.
Yeah, serves him some good wine pairings, I guess. I don't eat rabbits, so I can't tell you, but and then there's a piano, and so Frank goes up to the piano and he looks at all the normal classical stuff and he's like,
gross.
Gross. This one's you, and it's Linda Ronstadt.
Yeah.
Because guess what?
What?
Bill's gay.
Whoa. No way. That's why he likes Linda Ronstadt.
A lot of people like Linda Ronstadt. She was a great singer. She doesn't sing anymore, but
so he has like Bill play the Linda Ronstadt song after he does.
Well, because he sucks. Frank is like butchering it, and then Bill's like, "No, move over." And so he sings, and then he's like, "Oh, does that remind you of a girl?" And he's like, "No, girl." He's like, "I know." And then he like forcefully kisses him.
Yeah, and then
he starts crying. The whole thing is really awkward.
Scene to watch, but then they go upstairs for
no, because Frank is like, take a shower.
Watch them balls, dude.
And then Frank's naked in the bed, and then we find out that Bill has not done this before with a man.
Nope.
And
how old are they? 40 by now?
Well, I mean, it's Offerman's in his 50s.
But I think they're supposed to be like, or do you think they're 50s in this?
They're supposed to be probably like late 30s, early 40s.
I'd say 40s.
Okay.
But they're supposed to be in that. Compared, like 20 years later, right? Is that
yeah, it'll end up being 20 years.
Maybe 50s.
So then we have the bed moment, and then we jump to 3 years later, and Frank wants to beautify the town, and Bill doesn't get it. He's like, you're using our resources, but Frank's like, we need to do it for our friends. And Bill's like, we don't have any friends. But I've been talking to some nice person on the radio, and it ends up being Tess. And then Tess and Joel are invited over for dinner, and Bill has the gun on him the whole time.
The Tess and Frank versus Bill and Joel.
Yeah, so Bill ends up liking Joel.
Kind of.
Sort of.
He respects Joel.
Yeah. So this is where we start. I mean, there's a lot of differences from the game and the show, where in the game you meet Bill. You don't meet Frank, but you see Frank later. And Bill is there to help you get the battery. Bill has his own town, but it's like overrun with infected people. And so he's like killing them as he goes. And there's a bunch of booby traps all around town. And he's got all these resources. But he doesn't really know Joel. He mainly deals with Tess. And so when Joel shows up without Tess and he doesn't quite tell him what happened to Tess until a little later he figures it out, then he doesn't trust him like at all. And
that's fair.
They don't end well either.
What happened?
Well, he finds Frank. And so Bill says he has a partner, or he had a partner, so he understands the whole like going off on your own and where's Tess, and he gives you a cool like nail bomb,
okay,
which is good, and that's also where you get the bow and arrow. But you don't see a lot of the Frank emotional stuff. He's kind of a cankerous old man, which I mean Nick Offerman plays well. But we don't get this whole like love story like in the show. So they definitely approach this a very different way. So after the dinner with Tess and Joel, we have 3 years go by again, and they're running, and then they're eating strawberries, and Bill's giggling. And then later that night, or later in a night similar, we have raiders attack.
Yeah.
And the fence is not only electrified, it's raining, but there's also blow torches.
Yeah, there's blow torches, and that's what wakes Frank up because Bill's already shooting.
Yeah, there's all this light, and
Frank distracts Bill.
Yeah, because Frank finds a gun. He has got a gun, which will come up later, and he goes out to be like, "Come inside," and he turns, and so Bill gets shot, and so he has to bring him inside, and he's thinks he's gonna die, so he says, "Find
Joel.
Joel will
protect
take you."
Yeah. So that's how we know he likes Joel. Because other than that scene was kind of pointless.
And then 10 years later, they're both still alive, but Frank is in a wheelchair, and then Bill wakes up and Frank is in the wheelchair on his own. He's like, "It took me all night to get in this wheelchair." And like in the morning, he tells him that this will be his last day.
He just decided that. He's like, "Okay, so here's my plan."
So he has some sort of muscular disorder or neurological disorder where he can't like take care of himself. He has to take
pills, but he can't do anything else about that. So he plans out this perfect last day where they get married and they walk around and go to the boutique.
You have to wear the clothes I tell you to wear.
And stuff like that. And then he's like, then you're going to make me, you're going to make me breakfast. Then you're going to make me dinner. And then you're going to kill me with these pills that I crushed up and put in a baggie. I want you to put these in a wine and then give it to me at the end.
And then we'll cuddle and die. And I'll die.
And yeah.
And that's really messed up thing to do to someone.
That's messed up. Yeah. Because, like, the whole day, you're going to have Bill over here being upsetty.
Yeah.
But, Bill has another plan.
Yes, of course he does. He's a prepper.
He
prepped. And when we find out later night at dinner, which we were talking about as we were watching it, I was like, if I was Bill, like, you're in your 60s at this point. There's no one else around. I would take the pills, too. Have these.
And so did Bill.
Yeah.
He crushed it and put it into the wine.
Yeah, he's like, "Oh, there was pills still left in the bottle, wasn't there?" And he says, "Yep,
enough to kill a horse." So, but then he gave him his little baggie of pills.
Yeah.
Anyway,
that was a lot of pills he put in that little time. Well, again, why do you have a big ass glass of wine where you only feel it a quarter of the way?
Yeah, they didn't even drink all the wine. Drink all that wine.
Yep.
Dumb that pain.
Yep.
Maybe they wanted to be able to walk to the bedroom.
Yeah, they're gonna have to make it to the bedroom because that was the thing where like we're gonna die in bed.
Okay, so I know that you said that they moved to living downstairs because he's in a wheelchair. But like, maybe because Joel didn't know.
Well, that's Joel goes. No, he goes
he went upstairs.
No, he goes to the door on the downstairs.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because then he turns around and he sees Ellie and the door closes.
Mm.
Because I thought the same thing, because they did at the end, it's the window upstairs, but
Yeah.
Joel's downstairs in the downstairs, one of the rooms that's locked.
Oh, so Joel would know that. I guess they still be trading those pills.
Mm. And I'm gonna say it. I think we're both gonna say it.
What?
Suicide is not romantic.
Oh yeah, double suicide is not romantic.
Mm-mm.
I know that Frank said it, but don't believe it. It's
No,
not.
not
It's
romantic.
bad message.
No.
Not like kids are watching this, so.
Oh, yes, they are.
Kids are watching everything.
Yep. Yeah. Double suicide, the Romeo and Juliet, not romantic.
Adults out there, no, don't do that.
And so then we go back to Joel and Ellie, and they're at the gate, and they come in, and it's quiet, and the first thing is the flowers in front of the house are dead.
Mm-hmm.
And so Joel notices that, and then he walks up, and the door's unlocked. But why would you lock the door when you're the only one living in that town?
Just to be extra cautious, I guess.
And we see the dinner plates. They're still on the table, and there's flies. And
They're fine. They're moldy.
Yeah, the
so
wine
it's been a
is
while.
crusty.
And the cups are still upward.
Who's gonna come knock them down? And that's the other thing. In the game, the city's run with infected people. There are 0 infected people at this town.
I guess the traps are still active, is what I'm assuming. How long do you think it's been since they killed themselves? But the food has to be rotting, right? So
a week.
Yeah, I'd say about it.
So they leave a letter with a car key, and Ellie reads it, and she reads it to Joel until she gets to the part where it says, like, take care of Tess.
Yeah.
And then
you and me, similar type of man.
Yeah.
We're made here to protect people.
Take care of the ones you love is the showrunner's message, because that's what they tell us at the end of the episode.
Yeah.
But he goes to the garage, and of course there is no battery in the truck, and so there is a working refrigerator, and so he's got to charge the battery.
I guess. I don't know.
And so while they're waiting, they take a shower separately.
Ellie puts on her signature T-shirt.
Yeah, and she's snooping in all the drawers like everyone would.
Yeah.
And she finds a gun, and she puts it in her backpack. Joel comes down, and they take off, and Ellie's never been in a car before. Which they have
excited.
Trucks.
Yeah, but I guess she's never been in one.
And she's pressing all the buttons, and then there's a tape, like a cassette tape, and she knows what to do with it.
Well, maybe they have cassette players.
Which was surprising.
Maybe.
She's got a Walkman in the game.
So maybe she knows.
But she puts it in as Lena Ronstadt, and then they drive away.
Yep, the sad emotional episode that everyone loves.
Mm-hmm.
So, and it was a twist because you expected just Frank to die. But you told me that, like, in the game, Frank hung himself and has a very angry note for
so they
Bill.
Break up and separate, but then we find out that you find Frank's body is hanging, so he kills himself because he was bitten. And he leaves a note for Bill that's not very nice. And you can choose to give it to him or not. If you want to do the 100%, you could give it to him. And then he just kind of crumples it up and throws it.
Is it a nicer ending to that if you don't give it to him?
He just doesn't know about it. Yeah. He's just mad that Frank kills himself. But yeah, he's just kind of
so he knows that Frank is dead in there?
Bastard. Yeah, he sees him too because he's hanging in the middle of the room.
Oh, okay.
But you go into the bedroom to get like pills and all the other stuff you collect, but there's a letter in there so you can
So they broke up, went separate ways. Did Frank come back?
They're in the town's big.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a big town. There's a high school and all of that.
So they separated in the town?
Yeah.
So he got bit in the town?
He got bit in the town because it's full of infected people. Oh. And he got the battery from the school. That's where you see your first bloater. So we have not seen a bloater yet. Mm. And
think we will?
We only saw one infected person
that we did
go around. Mm-hmm. And we will see a bloater because I have seen stuff for that.
Okay.
But yeah, it was very, very different. It was very like sweet episode, except for the end. It was very sad.
Very sad.
But yeah, very, very different. And then the whole Ellie thing with the infected person under the gas station.
Ellie's weird.
That was upsetting. She's starting to turn dark, which the second game is very, very dark, and I will not watch that because that was a traumatizing game for me.
Maybe that's what they're trying to do with this one with her specifically.
To get you ready for the next one. Yeah. Yeah, it's messed up.
We'll see.
All right.
Next one.
Episode 4. Please hold to my hand. which is a reference to the Hank Williams song that is playing in the truck.
But didn't IMDb say "Please hold my hand"?
No, I looked it back up.
Oh, nice. You messed it up.
I messed it up.
Please hold to my hand.
So the synopsis is, after abandoning their truck in Kansas City, Joel and Ellie attempt to escape without drawing the attention of a vindictive rebel leader. I feel like that's not super
kind of
accurate. They don't know about her yet, though.
They don't, but they did get attacked
Mommy!
by them in a way.
Yes.
So
we start with Ellie is pointing a gun at herself in the mirror of a gas station. Joel, thank goodness, tells us that gas breaks down over time, but he's still siphoning it out of a truck that's probably been sitting there for 20 years.
Yeah, but we got to move the story along. So, yes. I mean, you can use old gas. It's just like it's not as effective.
Yeah.
But it can.
Gas does not last very long at all.
Not really, no.
That's lies that Hollywood tells us.
I mean, do you think this is realistic in any form?
No, we already talked about the whole fungus hive mind thing.
Yeah, just your disbelief needs to out the window.
But we do have quite a few references to the games. No pun intended, made a return appearance a couple of times in this episode. That is Ellie's joke book.
Yep.
And they're all lame. Even the diarrhea joke.
Yep.
And she finds the porn mag in the truck. And that was also a direct reference to a scene in the game as well.
Yeah, she just throws out the window.
Yes. She's got to see what everyone's, what the big deal is.
What the big deal is. Mm-hmm.
And then we have some more product placement in this episode.
That was a lot of product placement. I had to look up what the deal, because I thought you had to ask permission before you could put certain products in your movie, but it turns out you can
as long
put
as you're
whatever
not
you want.
Shitting on it, then you're fine.
As long as you're not shitting on it, then they could sue you for that, then you're fine.
But there's a lot of like propped soda and stuff that is non-name brand. And,
there's like Doritos and stuff.
Yeah, but we saw Doritos. We saw an Arby's sign reference to last game as well.
Callback last episode.
And Chef Boyardee made a
Chef
reference.
Boyardee.
Still I saw good a sign after 20
for
years.
IHOP. I saw a sign for Love's gas station. I saw a sign for Shell.
Yep. Get that money. And then they have to take a break because it's nighttime, and they decide to camp outside instead of sleeping in the truck.
It's super weird. They drove off into the woods,
so no one would see them.
And then they, cooked their Chef Boyardee and went to bed. But like Joel didn't sleep. Joel hasn't been sleeping.
Yeah, he's he's got to protect Ellie.
So,
but sleep in the truck. First of all, it's more comfortable than sleeping on the ground.
Mm-hmm.
And
I get taking a break because you don't want to drive at night.
Yeah,
that's fair. But like, I sleep in the truck.
Yeah,
hang out in the truck.
Creatures around and people and animals, whatever, and bugs, and
Joel can do what he wants, I guess.
And Ellie, so they're back on the road, and we're talking about where we're going. We're going to Wyoming. Named a bunch of places. Ellie asks about Tommy, who is Joel's brother, and we find out he's a joiner.
Which just means he's a guy who joins a bunch of things.
Yeah, but he's also a quitter because he's like, I don't like
military, left. He joined the Fireflies, he left.
He joined the killing brigade that Joel joins as well to keep... That's where they met Tess.
Yeah. A joiner.
He's a joiner.
That's funny.
We are in Kansas City. There is a truck blocking the way, so they have to do a detour where they see a man, and he says, please help me. And Joel's like, oh, hell no. And he starts to run him over, but it's an ambush, and they get shot.
They have to go around to, like, a different town, and Ellie can't read the map in the town, so they can't find the freeway exit, even though I think you could read signs, but, like...
Why would you just off-road? You're in a truck.
They already off-road before. I don't know. I don't know why they went into this town to try to find a freeway exit.
Yeah.
But whatever, guys.
It's literally like right there. But okay, sure. So the game is Pittsburgh. They decided not to do Pittsburgh. They did Kansas City instead, which is fine.
Sure.
Whatever.
Whatever, guy. Who's the director? Jeremy?
Yeah, he's the director for this episode and the next. They get before they get ambushed, we do see burnt corpses, so we know that something's up. But I think you kind of know any group of people in a city is gonna be shady.
They see a quarantine zone, but it's like kind of wide open.
Yeah, it's been overrun. And she's like, what happened to their quarantine zone? Which we'll find out next episode.
Mm-hmm.
And so they get attacked. Joel tells Ellie to crawl in a hole, which leads to another room. And he's shooting people, killing people left and right. And then a boy, he's like 18?
Yeah, probably.
Maybe? He attacks Joel, so Ellie shoots him.
With the gun she got from the...
But poorly. Yeah, from Frank's
house.
And then he's like asking for his mom. He's like, "Oh, we're sorry.
Don't tell your mom, my mom, that you're good people. Just let me go. Just take me over
Mom.
there." And she walks away because Joel's like, "I'm just gonna kill him.
Yeah.
Also, give me that gun."
Because he can't feel his legs. So.
Yeah, she definitely shot him in the spine, I think, to cause that to happen, or in the butt. I don't know.
Yeah, it looked like
she aimed down at his butt or Joel's crotch.
My mom's near. So Joel kills him so that Ellie doesn't have to, and then Ellie tells us later that that wasn't her first time. We cut to this older man, Edelstein in a makeshift cell.
It's like a storage,
shipping container. And Kathleen is there, and she has a list of names, and she really wants to know where Henry is. And we have this whole conversation of the fact that, like, the doctor says it needs to stop. The violence has gone too far. And she's like, oh, now it's gone too far. But it wasn't too far when you beat my brother to death. And so she's the vindictive leader. And this will both start the question of, like, who's the bad guy, which
is them.
Yeah.
If you're a highwayman, you're 100% the bad guy.
Yeah, they set a trap to take these people, and in the game, they kill these people and take their stuff. So
you're the bad guy. There's
no
gray area in this. I don't care about I'm just trying to survive.
Where's the justice? Because you shot my guy, so I have to shoot your guy, and then an eye for an eye makes the whole world blind.
So she's a new character, right?
Yes, she is not in the game, and we see she has Perry, who is the voice actor of Tommy. And so we see another appearance of a voice actor from the game, and he is like her sniper military
her
person.
right-hand man.
And they are on, she's like, all right, find whoever did this and kill them all. Because they bring out her son, and she's like, who did this?
Or like just some random people, we think.
Yeah, but they're also looking for Henry. So it's a little like misdirection where he's like, we found something, and then we find all these pictures and this bunch of cans, and so we know that they're looking for Henry.
Well, they're looking for a little boy.
Yeah, they're looking for Sam. And she's like, they're out of food, and then he's like, I have something else to show you. And then the ground.
She knows who these people are.
Yeah,
she knows Henry and Sam because she's like, oh, he's gonna look for food for his little buddy.
Yeah, brother.
His little brother. So he's probably gonna go for storage. So keep that on.
Double the goods. Because they're from the town.
And then Perry looks at her like, I don't think.
It's weird.
You know that guy's gonna turn coat or something.
Yeah.
Because
it's a kid.
Yeah. I think that's what he's like, yeah, of course he's gonna feed his kid brother.
Yeah. So in the game, Henry and Sam they are looking for supplies, and there are a group of people that are holding the city, and so they are trying to leave ASAP. They came in with a group of people. They're the only ones from that group of people who survived.
Did the people from the city kill all the other group of people?
Yeah. Okay. But they're the hunters, so they're hunting people to see if they have any supplies on them.
Okay. Wait, the people in the town, or Sam and
the people in the town?
Okay.
Sam and Henry weren't from that town. They came in with a group of like 10 people to find supplies, but they're the only ones that survived. Yeah. So they don't know the people in the town. And so this is different because it sounds like they're from the town. And Edelstein, who got shot, or maybe got shot.
Edelstein definitely got shot in the head.
Okay. He was
He's
the
the
doctor.
town doctor.
Yeah. Don't shoot that guy. That guy's worth stuff.
Well, he even said it. He's like, I'm the doctor.
Yeah, I'm your doctor. And then Perry's got something else to show Kathleen, and they go into this like bank vaults thing, and there's a crater in the ground, and then it starts to move.
That's where their supplies are, because it said like supply.
Then move your supplies out, because That definitely is going to get infected. She's like, seal off the building, but like, move your stuff.
There's it's weird. It looked weird because it's a moving ground. It looked like
That-
an earthquake or
yeah.
something happened.
It has to be the bloater because I think we have a bloater next episode.
Okay. Yeah, no clickers this episode.
No clickers.
Kind of disappointed. Lack of clickers in this.
Well, I mean, that's expensive to put.
It's expensive, and they're trying to pull like a Walking Dead, like the humans are the worst,
Yeah.
probably kind of thing.
And then, so where am I? Oh, that's again, who's the bad guy? Joel apologizes to Ellie for having to shoot someone, and they're hiding out, waiting until like dark, and then they're gonna go on the top of a building to try to figure out where to go, but they don't have a car anymore.
Yeah, they don't have a car anymore. When they tried to run over that guy, they ran over Spikes, and their car got shot to hell. So, and they crashed it.
Yeah, so they try to figure out, they're gonna go up in a building to find out where to go, but it's like 40 something floors, and
so Joel says, right, because Ellie's like, how'd you know that was a trap? And Joel's like, well, I've been on both sides.
And that's a line from the game.
So like, my question is, if you have been on both sides and you knew it was a trap and you were like, buckle up, I'm about to run this guy over, you know that the trap is ahead of you?
Yeah.
And you chose to just drive through it instead of backing up and maybe going a different direction? Do you think you would have still got shot? Is that like...
Yeah, there was a sniper on the roof.
Did he think it was just better to zoom past and hope that there isn't any traps up ahead as opposed to getting shot in the tires on trying to drive backwards?
Probably.
Because there was a turn. Because this is right when they drove by, they saw the quarantine zone.
Yeah.
And they were like...
But they're also super lost in a city that they don't know anything about.
Guess. I don't know. I feel like...
Yeah, they didn't know where they were going in the first place.
I think he just wanted to run over that guy.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Screw you. And then they decide to camp in one of the room, and he sets the booby trap up where he puts the glass in front of the door. But then their beds are right in front of the door. Like, sleep on the side of the room or the alcove. But it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
We have another joke, and then they have a little conversation, and she's like, I don't want to talk about it. And he's like, fine. And she's like, you're deaf in your ear.
Yeah.
And he's
like,
don't
do you want to
people.
talk about you killing somebody else before? And she's like, no, not really. And then she tells a diarrhea joke.
Mm-hmm.
And then they go to bed.
And he laughs. So they're friends now. And then you hear Joel, and it's because they're at gunpoint, and it's two people who, if you know, you know. It's
if you know, you know.
Henry and Sam. And that leaves us for that episode. So.
All right, we're on episode... God.
Episode 5. Endure and survive. And we are enduring through our marathon watch.
Yep.
So the synopsis for this one is, while attempting to evade the rebels, Joel and Ellie cross paths with the most wanted man in Kansas City, and Kathleen continues her hunt. So we see at the beginning is how the QZ zone was taken over, and they're just like, fuck you, Fedra. But then later on in the episode, we find out that this was 10 days ago.
Yeah, that was not a long time ago.
No.
That this happened.
So we know,
I guess that makes sense as to why Sam and Co are alive.
Yeah.
And what's his name?
Henry?
Henry is the
most wanted man in Kansas City. Yeah, so Kathleen brings in a chair. She just drags it in and sits in front of this group of people that are caged. And she's like, I used to be so scared of these people.
Give me your best cutesy villain voice.
Give
me your Dolores Umbridge.
She's just a little
Minnie Mouse. It's absolutely disgusting. I don't know. What is it about high-pitched women villains?
Soft-spoken.
Yeah, soft-spoken, like passive-aggressive.
Yes.
That just make your stomach flop. It makes me so angry.
No.
And I think it does with everyone else. I don't know what it is about it. Maybe because, like, I don't know, you know people like that, or
it's an expectation turned on its head.
I kind of expect those women to be like that, to be honest.
Well, now we do. For sure. So these people, we find out, were ratting on their neighbors for privileges from Fedra. Yeah. And so somebody rats them out and says that the doctor has a safe room. They don't know where it is. And she's like, why should I trust you? You're a rat.
And they're like, I should trust you because I'm a rat. Because, because he's like, I told you everything. I don't know anything else. And she's like, of course.
Yeah.
Because you're
a
rat. Of course you told me everything. Of course.
And she pulls a line. She's like, "Haven't you heard? Kansas City's free." And then Perry is like, well, we're gonna put them on trial, right? And she's like, "No, burn the bodies when you're done. It's faster." So she is in her supervillain phase.
My villain era.
Mm-hmm. And then we see the background between Sam and Henry before they meet up with Joel, which was the end of the last episode. Sam is drawing all these Super Sams all over the place, and they're hiding in an attic with the doctor. They have only the food that they brought with them. They don't have any ammo.
The doctor went on a supply run, and we saw later what happened to him in the previous episode.
He never came back. And so they decide that they have to just make a run for it.
Mm-hmm. But on their way out, they see the shootout between Joel and
Mommy's boy.
Yeah.
Sam has his face painted so that he could be Super Sam. So it's the relationship between the brothers.
Mm-hmm.
And excuse me. So they follow Ellie and Joel into the building, and they step on the glass, but they figure it out because
they don't even try to not step on the glass.
Sam is deaf. If you did not know, that was a change, but
mm-hmm.
I think it was a good change.
Yeah.
So it made him more reliant on his brother, and he's a little younger too. He's 8.
Yeah.
But he has this thick. It's not Etch-a-Sketch. What are those things called?
I don't know. Those little papers you flip up.
Yeah, it's a pad that you write on. You flip the paper up, and it erases.
I have no idea what those are called.
I feel like it reminds me.
It'd be really funny if it had to be an Etch-a-Sketch. Yeah. There's no way I could write.
Take forever. Let me write this. But excellent tool for the apocalypse because you don't need dry erase markers or a bunch of pen and paper and all that. So very handy. So Henry, after the stand-up, which was the end of the last episode, he's like, "We don't want to hurt you. We want to help you." And he knows a way out of the city. He tells them he's the most wanted man in Kansas City, and that Joel is probably a close second.
Yeah, he wants their help because his plan is to go through these maintenance tunnels, which is what they said they put all the infected in. Fedra did. So he needs their help to face the maybe infected, maybe not.
Tunnels. Yeah, his inside Fedra guy, who's dead, told him that they cleared out the tunnels about 3 years ago. And so there's not any infected, but he's not sure. And he hasn't really shot anyone. And so he needs Joel's help because he also doesn't have any ammo.
Yeah. He pointed
or food because they're eating their food.
Uh-huh. So that was their plan. You scratch my back, I'll scratch yours.
He says, I'll show you the way and you clear the way. And they have to go through the tunnels and they start at the bank and the tunnels are going to bring them out in this
residential
area. And then behind the residential area is a bridge, a pedestrian bridge that will take them over the water. And they're like, all right, plan. That's the plan. We go into the tunnels, and it is the tunnels from the game, although it's not in the same area. So this is the same Sam and Henry underground level where you see that people live there. There's like a little school.
Like a daycare, yeah. And they had a note on the wall that said something in Ish.
Danny and Ish.
Is it Danny or is it Donkey?
It was Danny.
Okay, I don't know. It just looked like Donkey for a second.
Yeah, Danny and Ish, which you get to read their notes in the game. There are no infected in the tunnel. There are no bodies in the tunnel.
What's the story in the game?
The story in the game is that there were house rules and it was about closing all the doors and someone left one open because you find actually that they killed the kids before the infected could get to them. That was another note.
Oh.
So it's very sad. And they decide to wait a little while so that they can come up when they're in the dark. And then you see Ellie and Sam bonding over the comic books make an appearance. And that's what this episode is called Endure and Survive. And that comes from the comic book that Ellie reads. And he teaches her how to do it in sign language. And this
is when Henry tells Joel that he has kind of killed a man before.
Yes, he tells them why he's the most wanted man. And Sam was sick. He had leukemia, and there was one drug that worked, but that was in limited supply. And so in order to get a big favor, he had to give them the big fish. which was Michael. Michael is Kathleen's brother, and he was the leader of the resistance. So he gives Fedra the leader of the resistance. And so that's why he's the most wanted man.
Kathleen's out to get him.
And throughout the games, both the first and the second one, there is this morality question, which is who's the bad guy? And Henry says, I am a bad guy because I did a bad guy thing. But he's not a bad guy.
He's not as bad a guy as Kathleen. That's her name?
Yeah.
Kathleen is. 100% Kathleen is the bad guy in this because even her brother, while he was in jail, and she talks about this because she's trying to make us feel for her. She's actually telling
childhood home.
She's telling Perry, her right-hand man, this, but he already is like 100% in.
I love you.
So, yeah, she's like, in jail, when I went to visit him, he's like, forgive Henry.
Forgive him.
Like, he probably knows why he had to do it and stuff, and he already forgave him.
And we know from Henry that Michael's a good guy.
Yeah, Michael's a good guy, and Henry knew that.
And then she's like, well, where is the justice in that? But she doesn't even want to go through the whole justice system thing.
She doesn't.
So it's not about justice, it's about revenge.
100%. So she's in the wrong because it's all about revenge for her, and there's no gray area here.
No. And I know you want to talk about Druckmann.
Druckmann. Okay, at the end of the last episode, we watched the behind the scenes, and Druckmann was like, I love humanizing villain characters. But what Druckmann doesn't do that. Neil Druckmann, he just makes excuses for villains.
Yes.
That's all he does.
We get their villain motivational speech, which is, I'm doing this because of this.
Yeah. And the whole point of humanizing villains is to make you as the person seeing the villain to be like, oh, I can see that, or see
where they went wrong. And
or I could become that maybe,
yeah.
To relate to a villain, but
it is a slippery slope, but when you continue to slide, you are the villain.
You are the villain, and he's just making excuses for the villain. And the villains are making excuses for themselves, is basically what it is. It's not humanizing them. It's making me be like, you're still in the wrong.
Yeah, you could have turned around at any moment, but no, you decided. This was a decision that you made.
This is your villain era, and you made a decision.
Yeah, you chose this path.
So I feel zero sympathy for you when you get eaten by a clicker.
Yeah, so they make it to the neighborhood, and this is just like the game where, except for it's at night, and they get shot at, and there's only one shooter, so that was a little different. And so Neil, oh my gosh, look at what's happening to me. Joel decides, he's like, you stay here, I'm gonna go around. And so he goes around, and he sees this old man who has a sniper rifle, and he says,
just put it on the
ground. Push the gun to me.
And just hold out for an hour.
Yeah, stay here for an hour, and that's all you have to do. And the guy just looks at him like, no.
And then tries to shoot at him.
Yeah, he's like, don't make me do this. And then you hear the shot, and then there's a radio. Kathleen's like, hold him, because we're coming.
We're almost there. And he's like, oh no.
Yeah, and he's just like, run, but they can't really hear him.
The trucks are too loud as they show up, and he has to snipe the trucks.
Because there's a truck that has the
scoops
in the front. They're like, how are we going to get through all these cars? And she's like, duh, that's why you're in the front. You just run over them.
It says run on the truck.
And so the three, Henry, Sam, and Ellie are running, but Ellie's shooting at the truck.
Yeah, I don't know why Ellie's
which was a waste of bullets. Maybe so she couldn't have bullets.
Oh, for that one scene?
Yeah.
It's for the setup.
And so Joel is trying to shoot at this truck and not doing a great job, but then
he gets it eventually.
They get close enough because she's on the ground. They're about to run over her, and he snipes them, and they run into a building, and the truck blows up.
Yeah. And
Kathleen gets out.
Yeah, and then Ellie, Henry, and Sam are behind a car. And Kathleen gives her whole villain.
This was a messed up speech.
It was not, it makes her look even worse.
Yeah, so she's like, Henry, come out. And he's like, okay, I'll come out if you let the kids go. And she's like, no. She's like, that girl was with a guy that killed my son, and Sam's with you. So gross.
So, yeah, and I know why you did what you did by ratting out my brother to save your little brother from leukemia, but kids are supposed to die, okay? Kids die all the time, all right? So
you could say the same thing about your son then, Kathleen.
Your son or your brother, who's the leader of the resistance.
That you sign up for that job.
You signed up to be a resistance member. You're probably gonna die.
Yeah.
But you're dying for a cause. More like a martyr thing, you know? But anyway, she's like, yeah, kids are supposed to die. Why are you messing with fate?
So Ellie and Sam are supposed to run, but they're
ever.
never gonna run. And Henry is up with his hands up, and then all of a sudden you see the truck like sink a little bit into the ground, and all of a sudden everyone's like, well, that's weird. And then it sinks even more. And then
I love, this is so cheesy and stuff, when they're like, I'm gonna shoot this person, and then like something happens behind them that takes like forever.
Yeah.
And they're like, I'm gonna stop shooting this person.
And I'm like, they're turned around. If I'm Ellie, I'm freaking running. Yeah. But no,
it's so dramatic tension. I much as I don't want him to die that early, so it's like I can't imagine like you wanted to shoot this man your whole life, and you're like, what's that sinkhole over there?
So out of the sinkhole comes a crap ton of infected people, and they are fast, and they are popping out of this tunnel.
So that's where they put them.
Jumping on things. They're
underground,
like stalkers, not clickers.
Somewhere else.
Yeah.
I guess not in the tunnels, but like maybe they migrated somewhere else.
Like a sewer line or something like that.
Maybe. I don't know. But they were in a different place underground. Yeah. So this is where we see the bloater.
Yeah, so Ellie's in a car, like Joel's sniping as she gets to the car because she's going through a tiny ass window.
Yeah.
They're
she's hiding out in the
fighting
car.
people left and right. Perry tells Kathleen to run because a bloater has come out and is just like manhandling everyone in front of him. Mm-hmm. And then Perry gets his head ripped off.
Yep.
And
Ellie's also in trouble.
Yeah, because a child lady clicker.
A child clicker, which is not in the game.
Not in the game, no.
So they're just trying to be edgy for edgy's sake again.
Yeah, I don't like
so many children murders in this show.
Children zombie stuff.
It's messed up. It's like, it's just trying to be edgy.
So Ellie gets out of the car. She sees Sam and Henry under another car, and she knows that Joel will shoot the things around her. Mm-hmm. So she goes to save them so that way Joel will shoot them, and she ends up knifing one in the neck, and then Joel shoots the head of the other one, and then they escape.
They run to like this edge clearing of trees.
And turn around.
And, and turn around to see
Kathleen.
Kathleen, that's her name. I keep forgetting what her name is. Pointing a gun, and I don't know what the hell she said.
Like, I can't let you go.
Some BS about vengeance, even though like zombies are running and killing all of her men behind her. Mm-hmm. And then she gets Joel meets up with them too. Yeah. And it's like, don't do this. And then she gets eaten
by the kid
zombie who's fast and jumping.
Yeah, it's like a freaking frog.
It just like punches her too.
Yeah.
Anyway, they get out of there and they go to a motel.
Yeah, they're in a motel, and Joel says, "Hey, you guys can come to Wyoming with us." And Henry is like, "Oh, that's great. I'll tell Sam in the morning." And then he tells them to go to bed because they're reading comics, and we all know what's gonna happen.
So the Ellie and Sam are talking via their little cool board thing, and
he says, "Aren't you scared?" And she's like, "All the time." Of scorpions.
And then he asks, like, if you become one of the monsters, are you still inside there?
Yeah, is it still you?
And then he shows her that he's been bit in the leg.
And then she says, my blood's medicine. And she cuts her hand. But her hand's fine after she cuts it.
Well, she heals really fast.
Yeah.
So, because she shows him her arm.
Yeah, but she's still, like last time, her arm was still red for like 2 days afterwards. But so she cuts her hand, she puts it on his, and he says, will you stay up with me? And she says, I promise. And
then she doesn't.
Fell asleep.
She fell asleep in the chair.
And then she wakes up, and Sam has his back to her, and she goes to touch his shoulder, and
he attacks her. He's a zombie now. Yeah. And she, runs out the door, and he's on top of her, and Joel's going for the gun, but Henry's like, no, don't do that. And then he picks up a gun, and then he shoots Sam.
And then he's like, what did I do?
What did I do?
And we both knew that this was going to happen. I know, but this was in the game.
Because of, like, they've been doing, like, different things.
Of the Bill thing. We're like,
maybe they won't kill Sam and Henry.
Oh, no.
And they did. So, yeah, Henry shot himself in the head after shooting Sam.
And
they bury them.
That's nice. And Ellie leaves the Etch-a-Sketch thing.
Yeah. Whatever that is.
I don't know what it is. And it says, I'm sorry. And so now Ellie's super bummed, and they are heading west on foot to find Tommy.
Yep. And that is that really sad episode. Okay, this is episode 6.
Ken. No, Ken is in like sibling, not Ken is in like Barbie.
Oh, like, okay. Yeah. It's like, who's Ken?
After ignoring the advice of locals, who were the best locals, I have to say, Joel and Ellie descend deeper into dangerous territory in search of the Fireflies and Tommy. So it's been 3 months since Henry, and we see a little recap of Henry, and there's somebody carrying rabbits into a cabin, and Joel crashes like a Native American family just sitting in their cabin.
Yeah.
They tell him about the River of Death.
And how they've seen, like, bodies around it?
Yeah. He's like, people go over there, but they don't come back, and there's just bodies.
Yeah, but they're not afraid. They don't live in fear.
No, and they also tell them, like, all the main cities are just crawling with infected people. So, because he's looking for Tommy.
Mm. So then they leave the cabin.
Also, like, she's like, well, have you seen fireflies? And she's like, yeah, they come out in the evening. And she's like, no, the people. And she's like, they're firefly people? they definitely get the honorable mention. Death has passed the river. Joel is now having heart problems, or...
It's a panic attack. We found it's a panic attack. We weren't sure. We're like...
They didn't even really tell us that, but it's a panic attack.
It's a panic attack. It seems like because he's clutched his heart, right? And his ears are ringing.
Yeah, he's having a panic
attack. It took him
attack.
this long to have a panic attack. That was a weird part to have a panic attack, too. Mm-hmm. It was like, oh, we got to go across the river, and then she stole a rabbit, and then he's like, oh.
Yeah. Because the older couple told him, like, if your brother's across that river, he's dead.
Oh.
So he's like, my brother!
He picks weird times to have panic attacks, to be honest.
It always has to do with his brother, though.
My
brother! We get to see the Northern Lights in Wyoming.
Yeah, that was weird, but whatever.
And there's a lot of conversation. They're bonding, and Ellie asks, if this works, then you can have a life. What kind of life would you have? And he says he wants to be a
cheap rancher.
And Ellie wants to go to the moon. To the moon. Ellie tries to whistle, which again is in the game. They see the dam, and they're like, oh, maybe this is the River of Death. And then they get surrounded by a bunch of men on horses.
Yes.
And a lady.
And one lady.
And they have a dog. And that dog can smell infection. How they trained that, I don't want to know.
Yeah, I think they're bluffing.
So it's like, this dog will tear you apart, and it's super cuddling, too.
He was very scared for Ellie, but he didn't do anything about it.
Yeah, he froze.
Which he's really good at freezing, and when stuff bad happens.
Yep.
It's just kind of bad. Surprised he made it this long.
Only freeze. No flight. So they bring them, she's like, they're like, what are you doing here? And he's like, I'm looking for my brother. And they're like, what's your name? Joel. No last name.
Doesn't matter. There's only one Joel.
And apparently they look enough alike that she knows who it is. And so they bring them to the fort. It's Fort Jackson. And he sees Tommy doing something, and he's like, Tommy! And I so wanted Tommy to punch him in the face. But no,
why? Did you want
because
to punch him in the face?
The first episode, he says, my brother, last time we met, if I see you again, I'm gonna kill you. But then
they hug
and
cry a little bit.
And he's been looking for Tommy because he hasn't been on the radio. We saw that whole like radio thing.
Yeah.
And then we find out why he's not on the radio. It's because of his wife.
Yeah, and the whole commune that they're in, because they're like, oh, that's why we're so safe. We stay off the radios and stuff.
Yeah, we take precautions. Where now they're getting fed, and they're at the dining hall that we see in the second game. So this is the commune that you are in if you're in the second game. And Maria is the lady that brought them there, and she is Tommy's wife. And she's Tara from True Blood.
Okay.
Let's see. Like, she's been in other things, but every time I see her, I'm like, that's Tara from True Blood.
I've never watched True Blood, so.
Don't do it.
No, thank you.
Mm-hmm. And they talk about their society, and she used to be a district attorney, but now she's part of the government council, and she's a Democratic representative. But then they talk about, he's like, oh, so this is
It's more
communism. And she's like, yeah, this is the commune.
Mm-hmm.
And they have like a farm and a school and all the jazz and all that. He asks, they separate, and he totally lies to Tommy because he's like, how's Tess? Fine, she's great. I have to get to the Fireflies. Bless you. Because Ellie is some bigwig's daughter, and he's like, oh, you have to go to the University of Colorado. It's about 7 days from here. Mm-hmm. And cool. Tommy's going to be a dad, and Joel's a dick about it. He's like, I guess we'll see. And Tommy's like, what the crap does that mean? I guess we'll see.
Well, he's like, I don't know if I'm going to be a good dad. I don't know. Yeah. Seems like a pretty neutral statement. It's not like he was like, you are not. He's still mad that he didn't contact him over the radio, basically. Yeah. He's kind of butthurt all his way. He did go a far distance to get to him.
That is true.
So
but wasn't really looking to be found. So.
I honestly would be kind of pissed too.
Yeah. Ellie gets a menstruation cup.
Yep.
I don't know if that's a product
Fun
placement.
fact, she got tampons in that one. Now she's a menstruation cup. Did you know that she's a young girl, so probably on her period? Just a fun fact that they really wanted to drill into your brain.
Where she's also they're not eating regularly, and they're walking a bunch, so there's a whole bunch of things going on with the body.
It's just a thing you should know. Bits. It happens.
There is a memorial for Kevin and Sarah, and this is where Ellie finds out that Sarah is Joel's daughter.
While getting a haircut.
While getting a trim.
What's her name?
Maria.
Maria.
About Maria. And Joel is tearing apart his shoes, and Tommy comes in, and they have a little cry session. And
yeah. Joel. It's so weird because he was like to Tommy, he said, hey, Tommy, come with me on this run to deliver this girl to the University of Colorado. Mm-hmm. And Tommy's like, no, I can't. I'm going to be a dad. I have to be a little more careful. And he's like, oh, so this is a suicide mission, huh?
And he's like, no, people come back all the time.
This is fine. Like, so Joel's like, okay, well, I'm afraid that I'm going to mess it up because I mess everything up all the time. I've messed so much stuff up. And I dream about messing stuff up,
but I don't know what I dream about.
Yeah, like, it's so weird, because he's like, I've been having these dreams. And Tommy's like, what are you dreaming about? He's like, I don't know. But I failed in them, and I know that. And he's like, how did you know that if you didn't know what you do? Anyway.
Don't ask questions.
Tommy, you have to do this run on your own. And
I have to leave her. You have to do it. And he's like, what? All right.
Okay.
I'll do it. And then he goes to see Ellie, and this is the moment from the game that is the turning point in their relationship where she's like, I'm sorry about your daughter. And he's like, don't talk about my daughter. You don't know a loss. And she's like, everyone I've ever known has either died or has left me except for you. And now look at what you're doing.
Yeah.
And then he's like, I'm leaving you.
You're not my daughter.
You're my daughter.
And I'm not your dad.
You're not my dad.
You're not my dad. I'm not your dad. Then they
part ways, and she's ready for Tommy to take her.
Yeah, she's packed and ready to rumble. Like, and in the game, she just leaves.
Yeah. Well, they have after she leaves, because she knew that he was going to leave her.
Okay.
Then they're on their way to Colorado, and they made it in 5 days instead of 7. Take that, Tommy.
Oh, dang. Mm-hmm. It's because they had so much fun.
Yeah. And they're just talking about stuff, and she's asking him about his former life, and he was a contractor, and
they talk about football
They talk about football. They're at the university, and it's the Longhorns, and she's like, look, you're closer to your dream. Bump. And there's monkeys. Just like
CGI monkeys.
But there's no clickers at all in this episode.
It's weird. There's like barely any clickers in this whole show.
Yeah.
They just like crammed them all into that one where there was the sinkhole, and then
they're like, can't have any more for a couple more episodes. Hopefully there's some more by the end.
Hopefully.
I think
we'll find out.
And they're about to leave because the Fireflies aren't there, but they're at this place called St. Mary's. And so they're like, okay, next.
The Fireflies moved
treasure
really
hunt.
fast somewhere else.
Yeah, they had a checkout list that they left behind. That's a great checkout list. And they checked out, ready to go. They saw some guys, and so they're like, let's sneak away. And they're about to leave, and the guy comes up behind, and he like hits his baseball bat into a tree, and that breaks it. And then Joel breaks his neck, but
he manages to stab him with the end of the baseball bat, or the part he was holding.
The handle.
Yeah.
That was like shredded.
So, because I was like, how does that work? So he tried to hit him with the baseball bat. It broke against the tree.
Stabs him.
He had the thing still in his hand, I guess. And then when he goes in.
But he was turned around.
Yeah, he was.
I don't know.
I don't know how that works.
Because in the game, he falls on a pipe.
Okay.
And so he falls off the floor because he's fighting the guy, and he falls on a pipe. And she has to pull him off the pipe to leave. In this one, Joel just takes out the baseball bat, and it's like, don't do that.
Yeah. Falling on a pipe is way worse.
Yeah.
That's messed up.
And so they're riding away, and then of course he falls off just in.
It's not a panic attack this time. It's
internal bleeding.
Internal bleeding.
And that brings us to episode 7.
All right.
We are on episode 7, Left Behind.
All right.
As Joel fights to survive, Ellie looks back on the night that changed everything.
So this is the DLC episode.
Which is also titled Left Behind, so appropriate. Ellie has parked her horse in the garage like you're supposed to. Joel's on the floor, and he tells Ellie to leave him because he's got
to Tommy
in his tummy. Mm-hmm. And she's like, no. And she puts his jacket on, and then flashback time.
Yep, she has a flashback.
She is running with her Walkman. So she does know what a cassette player is.
So there you go. In gym class. Getting into fights with other girls.
Which that other girl deserved it, so...
Yeah, she was
15 stitches. We see Captain Kwong is her superior officer, I guess.
And tells her
he's like, you've got 2 tracks in life, kid. I'm gonna be honest with you.
A cup or some keys.
And the keys has the Naughty Dog symbol on it.
And the keys are being captain.
Yeah,
right?
He's like, you can either be
a grunt,
taking orders from that girl you just beat up, or you can be running the place. Mm-hmm. Your choice. And she's like, I choose the keys.
He's like, okay, cool. Get out of here.
She's like, can I have my Walkman back?
So she goes back into her room, reads in a comic aggressively.
There's a Mortal Kombat poster on the wall.
She goes to bed.
Lights out, kids.
And, but somebody's sneaking into her room.
Assaulted.
By her friend.
An ex-roommate.
Is Riley, right?
Yes, Riley.
Who has joined the Fireflies. Mm-hmm. She's been gone for 3 weeks now?
3 weeks. And, so she's like, I'm a Firefly. Let's go do something. So they sneak out. And
she promises her the best night of her life.
Yeah.
Or whatever.
We see the crappy flashlight thing that occurs in the game where Ellie has to constantly hit her flashlight. That was super annoying. And they're climbing up a flight of stairs. They're on the 7th floor, and they see a dead man.
Yeah, he took a lot of pills and drank a lot of booze.
And so they're like, let's steal his booze, because he drank very little of that booze.
Yes, it's all the pills. There's still pills on the floor.
Yeah, full bottle. I'm not stealing a dead man's bottle of booze, because I don't know what's in it and what he died of. I mean, I can assume he died of an overdose, but in the land of fungus, I'm not drinking that.
Well, they are,
and then he falls through the floor.
He does. That's weird. I don't know why that happened.
That was weird.
But they just keep going until eventually they go on the roof, and she's like, let's go to the mall over there.
Yeah, they have an argument of Firefly versus Fedra, which both are awful. So.
Yeah, so it doesn't really matter. And Riley's like, we're going to the mall, and God, Ellie's like, but that's full of infected. They sealed it off. And Riley said, if they sealed it off, then why is it not sealed off? And I was like, oh, what does that mean?
Yeah, I don't know that. Because there's new people in the quarantine zone, so they had to light up a couple of apartment complexes, and that was on the same power line as the mall. Mm-hmm. So the mall now has power. And so they break in through this roof.
The roof. That's the only opening.
And then
it is sealed off.
They're in
except for
the
the roof.
like the power part of it where all the fuse boxes are, and Riley's like, take a right, and then tell me when you're out there. And I'm like, there's no way that they can hear each other through those huge thick walls.
But they did.
But it's like she was
asked,
right next to her.
She asked if she was out there. She said, yeah, she turned on all the lights.
And then, surprise, we're at the mall.
We're at the mall. We have...
Some stores were looted and some stores won't.
I was going to say they have the escalator scene.
Oh.
Where they played the Take On Me. Which I get why they did that. Because...
Mario reference.
It's not Mario reference.
And Mario, we talked about it.
But because she had tapes of Aha on her desk.
Mm-hmm.
Like, but the whole scene, like, it was just her fucking around on an escalator.
She's crawling up. She's going down.
The Aha. I thought it was going to be
tripping.
more of like mall shenanigans to the beat, but
no,
whatever.
just the escalator.
That's kind of weird. Yeah, some stores are looted, some are not. They made jokes about like people looted sneakers, but people didn't loot Bed Bath and Beyond, so or Bath and Body
Works, yeah.
So, haha.
No one wants candles, which I'm like, that's the one hand sanitizer and candles. That's what I'm rating.
Why are you getting candles?
Because the lights are going to go off. So you're going to need a candle and better be a good smelling one because people are smelly. No showers.
So the first wonder, no, that wasn't the first wonder. The first wonder is the
We
carousel.
still couldn't count.
So it's carousel,
photo booth,
you arcade.
Talk about the thong.
You can.
So they go to a Victoria's Secret and there's a thong in the window and the most awkward friendship conversation. She's like, ha, 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 I was trying to picture you in that thong.
That was a little weird.
That was weird.
Yes, friend. I like to picture you naked sometimes, friend.
And then she like checks herself in the mirror.
It makes me laugh.
Let me
to picture you naked in this thong. Thanks, friend. Very cool.
Weird. Awkward moments at the mall.
So you knew they're gay.
So yeah, there's Wonders and Carousel and Photo Booth and Arcade. But she's like, there are 4 Wonders and then...
The 4th one was the Halloween store.
But then she said that was the 5th Wonder.
Oh, well, I don't know.
Yeah, they started
Did she say there were 5 Wonders?
No, she said there was 4, but then when they're in the Halloween store, she said the 5th Wonder.
But she said this was the last Wonder and she's saving it for last. Was the other Wonder the joke book that she gave
The present? I don't know.
I don't know.
It was weird.
The taco stand?
Macho Nacho.
So yeah, they go on a carousel and look at each other lovingly.
And then it breaks.
So they go to a photo booth
They don't know
take
what to
photos.
do. But she's got $5.
Yeah.
Which I didn't think that they used
in the
money.
Arcade. Wherever it was all on the floor.
Yeah, because she broke in on the machines. So she's been there before. She said that she set all this up.
She basically lives there.
But then we found out that she lives there and she's been stationed there by the Fireflies because then Ellie finds her pipe bombs after she gives her the
joke book.
The joke book. Part 2.
Part 2.
Which she's currently reading to Joel.
So they get into an argument and
Ellie
leaves. Storms off. But then she comes right back. Oh, also, while they were playing in the arcade, Mortal Kombat 2, you see one clicker attached to the wall that hears them playing.
Yes, but it looks different.
But he decides to hold off.
Yeah, he's just like attached to the wall.
It takes him a while to get off the wall.
But he also looks different. Like maybe it was the lighting, but
okay,
I'm getting some continuity errors.
So when she comes back, she hears someone screaming and she thinks it's Riley, but it's not. It's a Halloween prop. And so they're in a Halloween store and she's like, this is the 5th Wonder I was going to show it to you last because I thought you'd like it the best.
And then they put on the masks, which is the wolf and the clown, which is from the game. And they're dancing to Etta James.
I don't know.
Yeah, I think it was Etta James. And then they get all hot and heavy with their dancing and they take their masks off.
And then they kiss. She said, don't leave. And she said, okay, I won't leave. And then they make out.
Yeah, because this is her last night. She's getting moved to Atlanta for the Fireflies.
She told her that she was going to be put on steward duty, so she ran away from Fedra.
She's like, I asked Marlene if you could join the Fireflies. And then Ellie's like, who's Marlene? Which in the game, Marlene was a friend of her mom's, which is why she's okay with the Fireflies. But she does not know any Fireflies besides Riley now. So.
Oh, yeah, she doesn't know it in the beginning when they do talk about
where they kidnap her.
So.
Yes. So kissy kissy. And then The whole time we're watching that scene where they're dancing and all that, I'm just looking at the background because I know that clicker's coming.
Yeah, that clicker's coming, and it did show up. And
Riley
missed all of her shots. She really whiffed it. And what was funny during that whole fight scene where they're fighting this clicker was that I was trying to decide if there was two clickers because they looked like two different clickers.
Well, because the one that was attached to the wall is not wearing this pristine white shirt that the clicker is wearing that's attacking them. Yeah.
He went to the Victoria's Secret. He's like, I gotta look good for these girls before he shows up. That's why he was taking so long. He took so long because he was shopping. Yeah. So I was like, the way that they shot it made it seem like there was two, and also it was a different two than the guy from the wall. Yeah. So I don't know.
And then this is the DLC. This is where she gets infected, so you know she's gonna get bit. But so we're watching the whole time. We're like, where's she gonna get bit? When is it gonna happen? You don't see it.
No, I don't know where it happened.
Yeah, it's fully on her arm, and she like tries to wipe it off. Like
I could see like Riley getting bit like this on accident, but like a whole ass arm, and she's wearing sleeves.
Where it was like
this happened. It wasn't the last time she got
a chunk out of the side. It was like the full
right in the middle. It had to do like a full apple crunch.
Yeah,
you know?
Right on her tiny arm.
It's because the second time she gets bit in this show that we were watching,
it was a tiny little
back in the museum.
Yeah,
she blocked it with her wrist, but she had a hoodie on.
Yeah,
so I'm like, how the heck did she get bit there?
I don't know.
Whatever.
Questions. We should stop asking these questions after this point.
Well, anyway, they're both bit, and they are like, okay, so 1, we could kill ourselves. Or 2, we could just go crazy together.
We also had this weird flashback moment to Joel for like a half a second.
As Ellie's scrounging around, opening cupboards.
And then we go back.
It was a weird choice to do that.
And Ellie is breaking shit. And Riley's just sitting there crying. And then we have 2 choices. And then Ellie's like, what's choice number 3? And like, she said we have 2 choices. Let's learn to count here, people.
So
so they're gonna go crazy together.
Yep.
Super romantic. But
we all know how that's gonna work out.
We don't see the end.
They might show it later, but I don't think they will.
Yeah, it cuts back to Ellie. She's back in the kitchen. She gets the drawer open that she's trying to open, and she finds a thread and needle that she does not sanitize. So Joel's
she's very upset about
definitely
that.
Gonna get infected.
I think she said that she didn't sanitize that needle like 5 times during that scene.
Nor did she knot any string, and like they're just going for it.
We had to watch it as it happened, which is gross.
I don't need to see that.
I get the gist. I know what it's all about.
Yeah, don't need to see that.
But thank you for sharing,
I guess we had a clicker, so...
We did have a clicker. It's about freaking time. Dude, I thought that's what this show was about. Clickers.
It's like when The Walking Dead no longer came about to be about the zombies. All right, we got 2 more episodes left.
Episode 8?
We're on episode 8.
Nice.
When we are in need... Ellie crosses paths with a vengeful group of survivors and draws the attention of its leader, David.
Yeah.
Weakened Joel faces a new threat. So we open the episode with David, and he is preaching. It's Revelations 21, and there's a kid crying, and it's actually a funeral.
Yeah, it turns out this is the settlement those raiders from, was it the last episode?
Yes.
That he got? Really? No.
Well, no, it was
the one before that. Yeah, when they were at the campus. Yeah, the guy that tried to kill them.
With the baseball bat.
With the baseball bat.
He's got a child, and she's crying.
Yeah,
I think his name was Alex.
We're at that settlement.
Mm-hmm. And guest star appearance by Joel himself, Mr. Troy Baker.
In the after thing, it said video game Joel with exclamation points.
And he plays James. He's one of the followers, and David questions his
loyalty. Same thing.
Because it's his faith in David, not his faith in Jesus. And they tell us that they're hungry and they can't bury the dad because
the ground's too cold.
Yeah, wait till spring, little girl. So David tells them to go hunting, and then Ellie also is going to go hunting because she is out of food. She's eaten their last fruit roll.
Whatever they were eating. Bread pieces, little bits of dried fruit, we don't know.
Yeah, and Joel is like passed out on the floor.
Mm-hmm.
She's like dropping water in his mouth. Ellie shoots the deer, which was an annoying part in the game where you had to track the deer and shoot it like 3 times. And they're just gonna steal her deer.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, well,
I don't see anybody,
anyone,
so
let's grab it quick because we hungry. And then she, of course, sneaks up on them and is like,
nobody move.
Yeah,
get away from my deer.
And they're like, well, you're too little to carry this, so we'll trade you. And she's like, do you have medicine? And he's like, sure do. But it's going to take Troy Baker here a long time. So let's go snuggle up in the cabin and I'm going to try to talk to you.
Yep.
And
Troy comes back with the penicillin.
And again, because
right behind her,
David lets it slip on purpose that their person died. And also he invites her to their camp and she's like, your hunger camp?
Your hunger camp? Yeah. And also he's like, oh, I'm a preacher. And she's like, oh, so like it's a cult.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Yeah, we're not joining that cult. Starving people. But he says that we just lost someone. We sent them to the next town, and he was murdered by a man with a little girl.
And that's when she's like, "Oh,
it's you." But he attacked them. Like they were trying to leave.
Oh, it's 100% that guy's fault.
They fully attacked him with a baseball bat.
Yeah.
And so, I almost said Joel.
Troy.
James, played by Troy, which they should have named him Troy.
I don't know.
I don't know. Biblical names? I don't know. And so he gives her the penicillin and she's allowed to leave. They take the deer to the people who are eating venison in quotations. And everyone's given the side eye.
Yeah, everyone in the kitchen knows who's given the side eye. And that's because they're eating that guy that just died.
Mm-hmm. And it's like cubed meat in their stew. And they brought back the deer and this they're somber and they're like, I guess you heard we found the little girl and I'm gonna go
in the morning we're gonna go raid their house.
Yeah. So. And then the daughter of the guy that died was like, kill them all. And this preacher man full up slaps this little girl in the face and she falls on the ground. And then he's like, you don't think you have a father, but you always have a father in me.
Ew.
This man is super creepy. Yes. The way that he talks.
We knew he was going to be creepy from the game.
Because Nolan North does the creeper David. But he also doesn't blink very often, which is a little offsetting. And then, of course, the things that come out of this man's mouth is just gross. So Ellie is getting watering the horse and all of that. It's the next day and she's got to go get some food still.
Oh, she's been giving him penicillin too.
Oh yeah,
the miracle drug.
Why are we looking at her actually giving him the penicillin?
They keep it on that shot.
It's gross.
It's nasty.
Right into the wound too. She's like, I don't know what to do.
I guess it worked. So
5-hour energy.
I guess.
And the birds are disturbed because these people can't be quiet for anything and
they're just stomping down the road.
Right down the middle of the road, all they want to be seen. Band.
I'm surprised they didn't all check houses immediately. They were just doing a perimeter check first,
They're just
I guess.
Going down the street. And in the game, there's a crap ton of people, but it's all dudes because there's no ladies there.
Mm.
And
so she is like, oh, I'm going to steer them away.
Yeah, so she gives Joel a knife and wakes him up and says, don't fall asleep. If they come down here, kill them. And so she jumps on her horse and she shoots at them and is like, hey, motherfucker.
This way. Yeah. Steer them away.
And
but then
Joel Joel jumps the fence and shoots the horse.
Troy shoots Horse Baker. Horse killer
Baker.
Yeah, so the horse is down and Ellie obviously goes flying and
she hits the
knocked
ground.
Out.
Yeah, she's out for the count.
Although not David.
Troy Horse Killer Baker.
Yeah, Troy Horse Killer Baker and Co are just kill her.
Yeah.
I know David said take her alive, just kill her. But then David shows up.
And he shoots in the air and he's like, "What you doing?"
Yeah. He's like, everyone else search the houses. Two people drag the horse, and the rest of you check the houses. Wait, I already said that. I'm going to take Ellie back.
He picks her up like she weighs nothing. She has her arm draped around him. Yeah. So I was like, oh, okay.
Okay.
Probably because he dropped her. I'm just kidding. I don't know. But that's what it feels like. And so Joel has had his 5-hour energy and he is ready to fight all the people.
One guy goes into his house and comes down into the basement and he wakes up just in time to stab him in
the back of the neck.
So that guy's down.
Yeah. Ellie wakes up in a cage. Mm-hmm. Being watched by Creeper David.
Yep.
And he's like, join me in my kingdom. Together we can rule because we are both like-minded people.
We are both very violent. Yeah. So I think we would do well together. Be my child bride.
It's gross.
Because we were just talking about, there's pedophilic undertones in the game that you can kind of sense when he's talking to you. But in this one, very upfront.
Yeah.
Very upfront personal about it. You were like, ooh, they just took that and amped it up to 1 billion instead of keeping it subtle. Very nice. Or very bad.
Then he's like, trust me or die alone. And so she's like, oh crap. And then
she breaks his finger and then he gets mad. And
that's like, afterwards.
Oh, what?
Yeah, because then it goes back to...
Oh, is this the torture scene?
Yeah, then it goes back to Joel, and Joel has collected 2 of the people, and he has both of them tied up, but he's going to point to the map, and if the other person points...
to the different place, I'm going to kill you.
Yeah, but he's like, I trust the first guy, so he just kills them both. He
both.
Puts the knife in the kneecap, and it was very gross, and
it's
I did
crunchy.
not need to see that.
Crunchy nice.
This is bad Joel.
Yeah. This is very dark, Joel.
And then we go back to Ellie. Ellie sees that there's an ear on the floor, and she knows that they're eating people.
Because David brought her food. Right?
And then David
he's like, I swear it's
in.
venison. And she's like,
He's like, you nasty.
You gross.
Yeah. And then that's when she breaks his finger, tries to steal the key, and he's like, well, now we're really going to kill you. Mm-hmm. And then, that's the rule of the kingdom.
Well, yeah, that happens during that scene.
Yeah.
But whatever, it's the same diff.
Yeah, so now Joel is wandering around in the blizzard, and he follows the blood trail, he finds the horse, and then in the car room thing where the horse is...
There's dead bodies.
There's 3 dead bodies hanging. And
with no heads.
Yeah.
Interesting.
It was gross.
Maybe if like a villager stumbles in there, they won't be able to tell or they're like a family member or something. Yeah. I don't know what the point of that was, but I don't want to look them in the eyes when I chop them up.
Yeah, it was gross.
Like a fish.
So David brings back Troy, James Baker.
And they pull her out. They're about to chop her up with a cleaver into bits.
I'm infected, and she bit his hand. So she's like, you too.
You're infected.
Everything happens for a reason. Throw those words back at you.
David's like, I don't believe that. There's no way you would have turned by now. And she took that chance to cleave Troy Horse Killer Baker in the throat.
Yep. And he's dead, but his blood's still pumping.
Yeah, he still kept pressing the pump blood button in his sleeve. So.
And then she runs into the kitchen, and
is it the actor that hits that, or is that like someone else?
It depends.
It looked like it was against the wall, so maybe it was somebody like on the other side.
Could be.
But you didn't see his hand, so it could have just been him being like, squeeze.
It depends on what's in the shot. And she pulls a piece of wood from the fire, and David has the cleaver, and he's
being creepy. He's walking around. Ellie.
Yeah, you don't know how good I am. I could give you everything.
He's saying the creepiest thing ever, and he's like, you know what? I'm not gonna kill you. I'm gonna keep you for myself, Ellie.
Yeah, and then he says the disgusting. They're on the floor and he's on top of her. Mm-hmm. And he says, the fighting is the part I like.
And she cleaves the hell out of him.
There's no fear in love. And then she just mass murders this man.
Yeah.
As he deserves.
Well, also she threw a piece of flaming wood at him, so
yeah, everything's burning down, but yet there's no smoke until after she leaves. So
it takes a while.
Yeah. And so she leaves the building and then runs into Joel, and she's like obviously traumatized, and Joel grabs her and she's like, ah.
And he says, baby girl, it's
like,
okay.
It's all right, baby girl.
And then they stumble off together.
They walk off together in the not sunset, so.
In the snow blizzard. We did it. We're at the last episode.
Episode 9, Look for the Light. A pregnant Anna places her trust in a lifelong friend. Later, Joel and Ellie near the end of their journey. So this starts with Ellie herself, Ashley Johnson,
giving birth.
She's running through the forest in labor, and we hear the sounds of creatures.
Yeah, which is like one.
That's like mad tracking her. Mm-hmm. And she goes into a house, and she's like, "It's me."
Yeah, there's like a firefly symbol on the house.
Yeah.
So.
But no one's home.
But
she locks the door because she doesn't want the
creature getting in. So she goes upstairs to give birth.
She like blocks the door, and this thing like can scent her or something because
it scuttles up the stairs.
It scuttles up
broke
and,
a
like,
window.
Yeah, and like barges through the door, and then as they're struggling, she gives birth.
Mm-hmm.
She's like, "Oh dang, fastest labor ever!" And of course,
she does kill the thing. So
yeah, she kills it, but she was bit in the thigh somehow.
Somehow it doesn't show it, but somehow she's bit in the thigh,
and she's got to cut the umbilical cord. So we have Ellie. She names Ellie, and she gives her a little pep talk.
Yep.
Then Marlene shows up to the house. She's always late.
Yep. She said they were had trouble getting out of the zone or whatever. Yeah, so she came late. And here's Ashley Johnson singing in the room.
Anna, yeah, her name's Anna, and she's singing, and she like gives her the baby and was like, "I don't want to feed her. She's hungry," and she's like, "You have to take her and then kill me." And at first, Marlene's like, "No, I'm not gonna kill you," but she takes the baby. She gives her like a switchblade, which I'm like, why do they have a spring-loaded blade with a baby?
I don't know.
Just hold on to the blade. Like, put it in your pocket. Like, don't put it with the baby.
She just put it on the baby, and Marlene just kept it on the baby. Yeah. When she gave it to the other guy before she went to go shoot Anna.
She shoots her because they've been friends forever. Joel is talking at Ellie because Ellie is
Joel is giving the weirdest vibes.
Yeah.
This whole episode, he's like, "Hey, you want to play Boggle? Hey, you want to learn guitar? Hey, you want Chef Boyardee? Hey, girl, I'm your new stepdad." And I don't. It's like a weird.
It's very different energy. It's not Joel at all.
He's like zoning out for obvious reasons.
Yeah.
He gets that excuse, but he's being super weird. Not a good vibe.
And so they gotta do their generic thing where they're gonna climb to the top to take a look around to see how to get out of the city. And so we finally get Ellie is getting boosted up to a ladder like she is the whole game. And he just like throws her up there, and then she drops the ladder because she sees something cool and runs off, and it is the giraffe.
It's a giraffe scene, which I thought already happened, but I guess not.
Yeah.
So this is the giraffe scene.
And then they're on the rooftop, and Joel gives her the "we don't have to do this" pep talk, and she says, "After all we've been through and after everything I've done, it can't be for nothing."
So she's saying that she's committing to do it. Because Joel's like, "We don't have to," you know?
Yeah. Neither of them know what's going to happen. They think it's just going to be a simple like blood test, and then they're going to be on their way. But they could have done that they could have collected her blood in Boston.
So
they're walking through the camp, and it used to be a military like medical camp, and then Joel tells more personal information about himself where he talks about the scar on his face that he was the one that missed, and so he tried to kill himself after his daughter died, and time will heal all wounds is the message we get from that. He's like, "Buck up, Buttercup. This life will get better for you."
Before they get gassed.
Yes. And then they get bang, flash
banged by
everyone
the fireflies.
Oh, they didn't know it was you. You're just a guy walking around with a young girl that we've been looking for a year now.
They forgot. So it's been a year.
And Marlene's like, "Oh, I was late because I almost died several times. How did you get here?"
I'm always late.
Yeah, she is always late. And Joel's like, "It was all the girl," and she's like, "That girl would have died day one.
No way."
And he also never asks about Tess.
What, you mean she doesn't?
Yeah.
No, she doesn't.
She's like, "I don't want to
maybe she knows.
Be indebted to you, Joel."
But I guess I am.
And then so Ellie's in surgery, so he can't even see her, which that's the dumbest thing ever. Like, have them say their goodbyes.
Yeah, that's a little bit rude, I
And then
think.
be like, hey, she'll see you
They
later.
also they didn't tell Ellie that she's going into a procedure that's probably going to kill her.
That's going to kill her. Yeah,
Yeah.
there is no
But
ifs,
there's
ands, or
like,
buts.
the other thing is, they're like, oh, it may produce a vaccine.
Yeah.
We don't know that, though.
The things that they need are in her brain, and obviously she needs that to function, so it's going to kill her, and it may or may not work.
They didn't tell her they didn't want to freak her out.
Yeah, so they don't get her consent at all.
But also, yeah, so...
And Joel's like, I don't like that. So
we think, well, okay, according to the director, we know that Ellie would say yes to this.
I think Ellie would say yes.
I think she would say yes too, but we don't know if she would say yes.
Yeah, she wasn't given the option.
Yeah, she wasn't given the option.
Which it's brought up in the second game.
With Ellie, did she complain that she would have
No, with Abby.
Oh.
Because I won't spoil that, but Abby makes a comment of, like, if it was me, I would do it.
Okay.
So you can find out what that means. Probably next season, which is 2025, I think we discovered. But so Joel is being escorted out of the building because he's going to be left with the stuff. And he can't come back, or he's going to get, he raised his voice a little bit. Show me her now. Get out of here, Joel. And so, of course, they're walking down and he's like, I don't know where I'm going. But he's like leading the way. He's like, but I was unconscious when you guys brought me in here.
So, yeah.
And so he shoots some people and takes their gun and then murders everyone in the building.
Yeah, which is like, it's cooler in the game. Mainly because you're playing as him. Right?
Yeah, and you're sneaking around. This guy is just like full on like walking like down the hallway.
Yeah, it's kind of a hard level.
Yeah.
To do that in. But he does make it to the surgery room.
The pediatric surgery. And she's prepped. They're getting started. She's passed out. Laura Bailey is somewhere in there.
She's somewhere in there. Probably the one to the right, what we thought.
Yeah,
right?
The doctor's like, I can't let you take her. And so Joel shoots him in the head.
In the head immediately.
He's like, unhook her.
And they do. And he grabs her and they walk out.
Yeah, they make it to the garage where the car is. And then Marlene pops up and she's like, this is what she would have wanted. Like, where do you think you're going to go? She's not going to be safe anywhere. Well, she's definitely not going to be safe in the hospital. They're going to kill her. Yeah. So I don't, that argument was weird.
Yes. I don't know. I guess she's trying to appeal to him specifically.
Yeah. Like, there's no way you can save her.
Yeah. You might as well save humanity because there's no way you're going to be able to keep her alive.
She obviously knows nothing about him because he did not give a shit about humanity.
Well, he doesn't. Yeah. That's the whole point.
That's
why he killed everyone in that room in that hospital.
Yeah.
He's a bad guy. Joel's a bad man.
Mm-hmm.
And
does bad things.
It does bad things. And everyone knew that. They even knew that going in when they said, you know,
it's that guy is going to be able to get her through to the next level.
Yeah.
And so it goes kind of back and forth, and you're like, is Marlene dead or not? And it's kind of, I feel like it was kind of obvious.
Marlene's totally dead.
Yeah. Well, because they cuts back to them in the car, and like, she's like, where's my clothes? And then he tells the story that, like, oh, there's a bunch of people who are immune. They can't find a vaccine. So they just gave up. Then raiders attacked the hospital. And I barely got you out of there. And she's like, what about Marlene? And then he doesn't say anything.
Well, she's definitely dead.
It cuts back to him shooting her in the stomach and then shooting her in the head. Because he's like, you are never going to leave this girl alone. Mm-hmm. So you did. And then they're going to go see Tommy. Ellie asks, like, he's weirdly talking about his daughter, like, a lot. Yeah, so where he's like, don't say her name, and then now he's like, I think you guys would be best friends.
You're funny. You'd make her laugh.
And then he's like trying not to insult her, like, you're kind of different, but she had a great smile. Not that you don't, but... And then she asks the question. She's like, swear to me that what you said is true. And he says, I swear, which she knows is a lie. And we know is a lie. And then that is the end.
That's the end.
That was the end of the game. That was the end of the... I still can't believe they took the hours and hours of a game and put it all into one season. Like, Bing Bang Boom.
Yeah.
In nine episodes.
Changed a couple things.
Yeah.
They added the DLC.
Yes, they did.
As like a whole episode. They made the Bill and Frank thing a whole episode.
Yeah.
That elongated twice.
But and there was no clickers except for the mom got attacked by not a full clicker. Like
there was hardly any clickers.
She was like from the
show.
Evil Dead kind of thing, where she's scampering around.
One, two.
Yeah,
I was kind of surprised. Like one was just like hunting her specifically, not like a bunch of them.
Yeah,
strange. Oh well, but apparently Neil had that in mind. I don't feel like we needed to know how Ellie became
story.
immune.
I didn't need to know that either.
I think
it's just better to think that there are other people that could be immune out there, versus like it's a very specific thing that happened as she was being birthed.
Yeah, so that means that if you wanted to recreate this, you have to bite mothers in labor.
But she had the baby like very quickly after she got bit, like within seconds. Like she's just like, bam, there's the baby.
Assuming it's just because they were attached to the umbilical cord.
Yeah, and then she cut the umbilical cord right away. And that kind of infection, I feel like takes, I mean, to see them change, it takes hours, if not a day.
Yeah. I don't know.
So.
I don't know. I'm not Neil Druckmann.
It's not mathin' for me. But
I just don't want to know. I feel like that adds like the mystery of like anyone could do it. And So
overall, what are your final thoughts on The Last of Us?
I thought the TV show is fine. Made me kind of want to play the game because I just know the game better.
Yeah. I liked Ellie in the game better. I liked her transition a little bit more. I think this Ellie got a little too dark.
This Ellie's very psycho, quickly. but you know why they're doing that.
Yeah. Pedro Pascal, I thought, did a great job, except for the last episode was just weird.
That was weird.
He was weird.
Apparently, he changed his accent.
Yeah,
too.
he like lost some of that southern twang. He had very little, but all of a sudden it was just not there anymore. Which I'm like, what? Okay, whatever.
It's like last episode, completely different.
I like the cameos that they did. I thought it was smart of them to do like random cameos, but they had a little bit of a speaking part.
Funny that they did Laura Bailey early.
Yeah. Yes, but I mean they can always bring her back because
that's true. She lived, so
yeah. Yes, she did. I felt like they could have. I felt like they should have made season 1, 2, or the game 2 seasons, but I think they didn't think that this was going to be successful because it's a video game, and those typically.
I don't know.
Resident Evil got canceled after 1 season, so I think that was.
Well, that's because that was ass.
Yeah, that's true.
They can't do Resident Evil at all. For anything.
It was.
They take a perfectly good game series and story and just destroy it, and I don't understand. Yeah. It's probably because they don't have any creative people from that working on it. True. Like, at least this one had Neil.
Yeah, sadly. He was very, very involved.
So I think that helped a little bit to make it more like the thing that it is.
And I did like when they went off and did different things from the game, because if I'm just watching the game, I'm like, I've already seen this.
Yeah.
So I do appreciate some of the changes, but keeping true to the lore and all that stuff, I thought was good. So overall, I thought they did a good job. I'm not looking forward to season 2. Like that
we don't have to watch it.
Yeah, that game was super traumatizing for me, and so I could not replay it a second time. So I cannot imagine sitting through and watching it.
I mean, we don't have to. Yeah. So this is it. We're not doing season 2. Just so you know.
Well, also it's not coming out until like 2025. So
the next thing Sony's doing, I think, is the Twisted Metal series.
Yeah.
So I guess we could watch that.
Yeah. So now we have watched all of The Last of Us.
Yep. Stay tuned for our next one, which I don't know what it is. I haven't decided yet. We'll see.
Tag, you're it, because it's your turn.
Yep.